Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be discussing about the Vienna opening and especially about the position arising after bishop c4 and the move knight to c6, because as I briefly mentioned in the video, after white plays bishop c4, black has a pretty good alternative of taking on e4, which will lead to a future video on the channel where white can go for queen h5 and seek for some really interesting counterplay, as one of the main traps would be after queen h5, the move knight to d6, you can simply play bishop to b3, and now if black goes for knight c6, all of a sudden it's really unpleasant to deal with this knight b5 move, because we're threatening to take the knight from d6 and then checkmate on f7. So for example, if black would do something like this, we will be able to go for a quick checkmate. And if black tries to defend the f7 pawn in any other ways, with a move such as queen e7, well, this is gonna simply hang c7 with a really nasty fork. And also it's worth mentioning that g6 does not really save black, because there is queen f3, again renewing the threat of knight takes on d6 and then queen f7, because the bishop supports it. And after f5, the same issue remains after queen d5. So I think this is a really nice trap to know. And okay, now we're threatening the same thing with knight d6 and queen f7. And I know it's best for black to give up the exchange, but again, it's not really an ideal position. But anyways, this is not really the point of this video. As you already saw, this is a bit of a longer video. And I just wanted to quickly mention that you have this trap against the lines with knight takes e4. And I will be making a future video on that topic to cover these lines in more detail. And yeah, you can let me know in the comment section if you ever got these traps, or if this is something new to you. And after bishop to c4, a lot of people would play the move knight to c6, which is nice developing move, not really going for the for these crazy complications of the knight takes on e4. So here we go d3, and now we enter kind of the main Vienna territory, where black has a pretty wide choice of alternatives. There is this knight a5 move that I quickly mentioned in the video that black has at his disposal. There are bishop b4 lines as well, but my opponent played bishop to c5, and we got to like really thematical and interesting Vienna play with f4, and yeah, this video is gonna be mainly one of my training rapid games that I played against international master from Moldova, which is 18 years old, so very young and already having 2 grandmaster norms. So he is a very strong player that I expect him to get his GM title once the lockdown is over and we get back to official tournaments. And yeah, we're going to be just looking at the game that I played against him while I was doing commentary. So yeah, the main goal of this video is that you can get to see how I think during the game and how I end up making my moves. What is the thinking process behind my moves, and how you can avoid some of the mistakes that you are doing and start implementing the thinking process that the international masters do. So I hope you will be enjoying the game, and make sure to let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe if you feel like you learned anything new from this video. I'm gonna open up with e4, and he usually plays a lot of stuff. Good luck in the chat, only positive vibes, friendly atmosphere of the game. So he goes on e5, which is also what I played in our classical game, and I think I'm going to try the knight c3 move. Let's see what he has in mind against our little Vienna. Plays with knight f6. I'm gonna go bishop to c4. And let's see if he's going to actually go knight takes on e4, because this is kind of the critical line, and it allows either queen h5 or some other interesting ideas. And goes knight c6. Just gonna play d3. He has a good option of playing knight a5 here, taking my bishop. But we kind of get easy play for it in return, so he only goes bishop to c5. And I believe he's pretty well booked up in these lines, but gonna go f4 anyways, I believe. Yeah. I think this is how the theory goes. And then I'm just gonna go knight f3. I can recall some knight a4 at some point, trying to get this bishop. Yeah, he plays with d6. And at this point, I'm wondering if I am supposed to play knight f3 directly. There's knight g4, but this is usually not something that you should need to be afraid of, because there's just simply queen e2, and the check on f2 does not do all that much after bishop f2. Either knight f2, there will be rook to f1. So this is some strange theory. I believe f5 is a little bit premature. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think I'm just gonna play knight f3 and meet knight g4 by playing queen e2. So let's see. Here black has a variety of options, and I believe if he's you know, not gonna go for the crazy knight g4 lines, I might just try to grab the bishop. a6 is a move in that way. I think a6 is a pretty sound alternative for black here. And yeah, the main idea of it is to just have a square for the bishop in case of knight a4. So he does take on f4, which is trying to avoid some of the complicated lines. Just saying, alright, I don't want to get into too much theory. Let me just grab that, and probably will follow it up with castle short. And then we might have an option of going queen d2 and then going some bishop e3 or castle long. And I think we're just gonna do that. I think queen d2 is fine. Yeah, I'm also considering queen e2, but I believe this one is more natural, and I'm gonna be playing for castle long. I think we get interesting positions here. And yeah, opposite castlings. It's going to be all about who gets to the enemy king first. And yeah, black is gonna try something like this, I guess. And I'll have to either play for like bg5 with knight d5, or maybe, yeah, maybe just push d4 at some point, you know, why not? I mean, white has many plans in this position. I really expect black to do something like a6, b5. So he decides to go for this knight b4, which is what I would call the central strategy. And he maybe wants to do something similar, but with c6 and then with b5. So what he did here, he spent like 3 minutes, but I think he spent his time really wisely, because he now picked a plan and is going to start playing way faster, because he already got used to the position. And yeah, I mean, I can recall looking at something like this at some point. I don't really remember though, how am I supposed to play this. I believe I should be fine by simply castling, and knight f3, gf3 should sort of be in my favor because we're opening up the g file. And yeah, I looked at this because the third part of my 1e4 repertoire for chessable, it's going to be dedicated to this really nice Vienna opening. So I decided to pick this for the chessable repertoire because, you know, I had a pretty wide choice of alternatives, like thinking about the Jacobiano or maybe the Rui Lopez in the opening as very sound alternatives. Even the Scotch was in my mind at some point, but the thing is, those openings are already ultra analyzed, and it's really tough to come up with anything new. And also, kind of everyone knows how to react against them pretty well, I guess. I mean, let's be serious. Like, anyone that starts chess is googling okay chess openings, and then they get to some Choco Piano video or something like that. And the thing with this Vienna is that not so many people are so well prepared against it, and I think it also keeps very interesting and very objective value because it's played by Hikaru Nakamura and also Ali Reza Firouzja. So two of the strongest players of our time, and yeah, I think it's pretty interesting idea to try to follow their footsteps because they might be playing this Vienna for some reason. It's not that they just end up being at the chessboard and trying to come up with something on their own. They've done some serious study in opening theory throughout their careers, and the fact that they're playing the Vienna, especially in our time, is really interesting to see. Because of course, I mean the Rui Lopez and the Jocopiano might be objectively better for classical time controls at the top level, but I think for the most people, like the average players that are between 1500 and um, yeah, FIDE Master, I would say those would be the average people. Actually, maybe FIDE Master is a little bit overqualified already to be called an average player. So I would say people between 1500 and 2000. I don't really see that big of a point of going into the big main lines. Although I'm a big fan of having very good lines objectively because when I was a kid I grew up with a pretty bad repertoire which uh, had a pretty bad impact on my game because later on I had to pretty much switch all the openings. So yeah, generally when I'm seeking for a long-term plan for improvement, so if someone wants to do a pretty good run in chess, I'm always considering, well, playing the Vienna and other openings, for example, might serve you very well to like a FIDE master, for example. And I mean, with a Vienna, honestly, you can use it even more. But in my case, let's say I was playing the Grand Prix attack. So let's actually discuss it more specifically about the Grand Prix attack. So in the Grand Prix attack, well, it's a pretty good opening, but it might work very well uh, until you get to like FIDE master, maybe 2200. But then you've got to upgrade and you've got to be playing the Open Sicilian and making the change from the Grand Prix, which basically has no theory, to the Open Sicilian, which is ultra analyzed, uh, could really be like really tricky to make. And um, yeah, I believe that the fact that I did structure my repertoire since I was a kid around the Open Sicilian made it way more easier to play it now. So Ivan is going for b5 here, which is what he's supposed to be doing. Let's just put it that way. Um, I'm thinking to take this and go knight to e2, play a little bit more concrete. Because if he's gonna have to go bishop c5 back, yeah, I actually tend to like that idea. I mean, rook f1 is also looks really principled, but then he takes, and I'm not sure I am a huge fan of that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this, and then I'm gonna go with knight e2, I believe. This bishop is pretty nice there. Could also play like rook f1, to be honest. Then he goes b5, bishop e3, a5. And we get really sharp play. Could also try to trade this bishop with bishop e3, but the thing with bishop e3 though is that he takes and he plays like d5 and then might get hit with d4, so it's probably not the smartest idea today. Gonna stick with my main plan of going knight e2. And now I'm having this kind of rook f1 and then bg5 kind of stuff in mind. Not sure if it's like fast enough, but it's a plan. I think it's kind of interesting thinking that bishop on d4 is pretty powerful beast, so we need to get rid of that as fast as possible. But yeah, guys. Anyways, if you're trying to get better and get more into the game and this kind of stuff, thinking considering that you're a beginner, I mean, openings are nice, but they should not be your main priority. You should always be focusing on tactics. Like, for example, even here against Ivan, if I'm going blind mode and I play like Rook F1, wait, no. If I play Bishop E3, then he takes and he goes D5, then he gets D4 in, and the game gets decided by a tactic. So, you don't really want to miss those things, or if your opponent allows them, you want to be taking advantage of them. So he plays Bishop E5, which I think is the safer move. Now I feel kind of safe on the queen side, because I feel like these pawns are going to come a little bit slower than they did before. And yeah, I think we might have to trade on E5 and then play like Rook to F1. Although I'm not sure. But the thing is, if I allow him like D5 after he takes, obviously, I think that's pretty good for him. And I really like my bishop here unchallenged on this diagonal. So even if he gets in B5, bishop B3, A5, I believe we can just maybe play A3 and still get away with it. So yeah, now he has plans of going BG4. But even in that scenario, I don't think we should be that afraid of bishop g4 takes on e2. I think strategically speaking, the bishop on c4 will kind of dominate this knight on f6, and simply playing rook f1 might be good here. Also, h3 with g4 is a very common sense idea. But do I need to make any prophylactical moves against b5? Like, I can start with a3. So against b5, I'll have bishop a2. Do I really need that? I don't feel like I need that. I mean, let's try to think about his ideas. b5, bishop b3. He can maybe do like knight e7 with knight c5. That could be one of his ideas. And then knight c5 combined with a5, a4 could actually be quite annoying. It's usually against players like Ivan, you cannot really just do your own game and win. He's a really tricky player. I mean, the guy has 2 GM norms. So he's definitely going to put up some counterplay here. I'm just trying to see how. So b5, bishop b3, a5 does not do all that much, but I'm guessing he will combine it with knight to d7, because the knight on f6 is not that good anyways. So on knight to d7, there is this queen c3 move that kind of hits c6 in a way, but it doesn't really feel that natural. So I'm wondering if I should start by playing a3, b5, and then I'll have bishop a2, and then the knight d7 thing becomes kind of pointless. So his only thing will be to play a5. Maybe then we can continue our own play here with like h3. And even if he gets in b4, maybe we can just sidestep it. Yeah, I believe that's like the way to go. Let's go h3. A small prophylactical move. I think it's quite nice here. I don't think it was necessarily needed, but I was a little bit afraid of this idea of b5, bishop b3, and then knight d7 coming to c5. Maybe it was not a big deal, but yeah, I feel like here going, it's better to be rather safe than sorry. So yeah, we'll see what he wants to do. The thing is, though, I'm investing a tempo, but I'm getting rid of his kind of attacking chances with knight d7 c5, and then I can kind of return to my own ideas with a3 g4. Ideally get a knight to f5, but that's gonna take some time. That's gonna take a lot of time. So here at this point, I really expect Ivan to play something like queen e7, and the idea being to play bishop to e6 without allowing the double pawns. So either queen e7 does that. I think rook e8 is also an alternative. He plays knight e8. Ah, so this is interesting. It's a little bit slower, but still interesting. Like he wants to play it like in the Berlin. He wants to get a knight to c7 and then the bishop to e6. So yeah, this is pretty nice. A nice maneuver that I was not considering at all. So yeah, I think going with rook f1 should be. Whenever they play this kind of knight moves backwards, you should be considering at least a break in the center, but here it doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm wondering though if after rook f1 knight d6 could be a thing, but I don't really believe in that. Since knight on d6, okay, I mean, oh, he plays it, wow. A little bit surprised by that. I thought he really wants to go for the bishop e6 thing, but maybe he thinks that the bishop is not that important there. Maybe he's just gonna play bishop e6, who knows. I was expecting the more positional idea. This is also like doable. I think he might just play king h8 and then f6 at some point. Okay, now he might go for bishop e6. I have a feeling he's never gonna play bishop e6, but I'm just always considering it. It's always how it goes, don't worry. It's generally how it goes. Okay, so here we actually get like some very typical sort of Berlin kind of play. I'm wondering if queen c3 with the idea to meet bishop e6 with queen e5 is a good idea. Probably not because of like queen g5 or anything like that. Probably I should just be sticking to standard play with knight g3, bishop e6, and then trade off the bishops, play king b1. You know, always go king b1 and then just knight f5. I think that's what we're gonna do here. Maybe even start with king b1. I think it's maybe a little bit more flexible. Might end up being the same thing. Yeah, just gonna play king b1. You know, it's always a nice move to have. He's probably gonna do that. There's no really other idea to follow this up. Now I see an interesting idea for him. I think maybe he can go bishop g4. I think he can maybe try that. Trade bishop for knight and then just play king h8 f6 and say that my bishop is kind of pointless on a2. But I mean, that's still a bishop. It cannot be all that bad. But I think that's a really interesting idea that he can go for here. He might go for it. Bishop e6, I think it's simpler for black, but bishop g4 also, it's kind of creating this imbalance. It's more of a play for a win type of move. So yeah, generally, yeah, this kind of bg4 stuff. I had a discussion with a Romanian grandmaster a while ago, and he told me that there's no. I was a little bit worried, you know, while facing opponents that were playing drawish openings, and I was kind of asking him what opening he will play for a win or this kind of stuff against low-rated opponents, and he said that playing for a win, it's a mindset. It's not you can play for a win with any opening, and yeah, I think Ivan is kind of doing the same here, which kind of hate, but all right, I'm just gonna do my own thing here with knight f5. What he does is pretty normal. He's just gonna push b5, but again, like b4, I can probably just sidestep, and I don't think this is as scary as it seems at first. But we'll see. I mean, just gonna get the knight on f5 probably. So yeah, playing for the win. It's a mindset. It's not a yeah, not a no need to go crazy on the openings. But yeah, I mean, what I really love about that grandmaster. I mean, his name is Lucian Miron. And if you're studying his games, he does that on a regular basis by playing very solid openings. So he takes no risks whatsoever, and he just grinds his lower rated opponents without giving them any chance in what it looks like very symmetrical positions and very equal. But he does that very well, and I think he's a really instructive player to watch. Especially, you know, at his peak, he was 2550, and I think he even could have made a run to 2600 if, you know, some things went more in his favor. But yeah, I mean, also, I guess you cannot really complain all that much as, you know, while being a grandmaster. I think that's also already a crazy achievement. So yeah, I really advise you to go ahead and study his games. He also has a very instructive game where he wins against me in the Italian, and yeah, I felt it on my own skin. So bishop e6, I think. I believe we must trade. Like, I believe going knight f5 would be a bad idea, because after, I think even more precise is to take with a knight on f5, and then after pawn takes, bishop takes on e2, king takes, just plays f6. I think I'm gonna be running out of play in that position, so I think I need to keep the f-file open. But if I take on e6, I don't think taking with a pawn is a thing, and yeah, I'm just gonna get my knight to f5, and we get to this kind of positions where he's gonna take, I'm gonna take with a rook, and I'm gonna try to put pressure, apply some pressure on the f-file. Very typical to the Berlin, I would say. Although the big difference in the Berlin is that usually this king stays on like g1, or you know, but still I would say the concept is basically the same. I'm not gonna pre-move, don't wanna confuse anyone who's watching. I'm just gonna wait for him to make the move on the board, and then I'll be taking with a rook. That is my main idea. Taking with a pawn might actually be doable here, which is something that we need to be careful, because if he makes like a random queen move, f6 might be really unpleasant. So I believe actually he cannot take on f5, because also just playing queen f6 may give me some g4 ideas, and even h6 looks to be kind of stopping the initiative for the moment. I feel like that should be pretty dangerous for him. So yeah, he's not gonna take, he just plays it slow with f6. I believe now we need to go g4. If he takes, we might take with a g pawn, or probably just take with a rook and then try to double play for like g5. There's no need to take on d6 just yet. We can just keep the tension, and if he wants to get rid of our knight, we can take with a rook and have kind of similar play, or even have extra options like gf5. Even ef5 is kind of interesting here. Plays b5. And yeah, I would say that the key factor would be to always sidestep whenever he pushes. So sometimes even b3 is an interesting idea, to meet b4 with a4 and a4 with b4. Not sure if we need it here though. I can be playing g5 if I really wanna kind of rush things on that side. Might take with a pawn. Then I go queen takes. Not sure I like that all that much. Yeah, I was also considering like queen c3 just to hit this pawn. And again, not really thrilled about that option either. Rook c8, and then maybe I have some like queen c5. Looks interesting though, let's try it. Looks kind of interesting. Although I'm kind of committing myself to knight takes f5 and then taking with a g pawn, which is not ideal. Like my original idea was to get a queen to c5, but now after knight takes f5, g takes f5, he gets in queen d6. So that was maybe not so smart by me. Maybe I can take it with a e pawn, but then queen d5 looks pretty comfortable for black. Yeah, I think now he needs to take. Otherwise, if I'm getting queen c5, then I think I have some really interesting ideas, but yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm really expecting knight takes on f5, and can I actually still go rook f5? Like, he can sack the pawn, but I'm actually considering to take. Like, generally you don't even consider these things, but If there's nothing for my opponent, then I might probably just be up a pawn. So now it kind of makes more sense to consider that. But yeah, knight f5, rook f5. Yeah, it's hardly an alternative. Like, I don't know. I feel it's like way too slow. Knight f5, I think I'm just gonna go gf, and he's gonna play queen d6, and maybe I should start pushing the h-pawn. It feels quite slow, but on the other hand, his play is also not that quick, so knight f5 we go gf, queen d6, and h4, I believe. If b4, we have this check, and then we can just sidestep with a4, and I feel like we're kind of safe, and then we can kind of switch the action on the king's side. So let's see. I'm gonna be taking care of my caffeine levels in the meantime. And yeah, we'll see how he wants to react here. Because I'm having a very concrete threat of mating b4 with queen takes on c6, so he cannot really allow that. And if he plays like the normal, let's say rook fca, then queen c5 starts to be kind of annoying. You know, I mean, he still gets like knight b7, but you know, queen b6 or queen e7 ideas. I believe queen e7 is actually like really annoying there, hitting the queen and the knight, and he cannot really recapture because there will be this 4. I might be going a little bit too far with the variations, so let's just say that I'm playing rook f8, queen c5. So he plays rook a6, but this looks a little bit clumsy. It has the idea to avoid a fork at the end, I can see. So queen c5, he might just be playing knight b7, saying that, well, you know, I can just live with that. And looks pretty interesting. I'm wondering if I have g5, fg, and then queen b3. That would be... Wow, I believe that works actually. g5, what if he plays b4 though? b4 might be ruining it. Because like g5 pawn takes, queen b3, queen takes, there is knight e7, king h8, and then there is mate with rook f8. But g5, unfortunately, there is b4. I don't know, is it? Take, queen takes. Knight is kind of hanging. Can maybe just play knight b5 and get away with it? I kind of doubt that though. I really want to go for blood here with g5. It might be the bad call, to be honest, but I kind of want to make it. I don't know. I can probably trade on d6 and just keep it normal. Probably just gonna trade that and go g5. g5 he might take, so maybe just push like this. Yeah, I think this is pretty... Yeah, the safer alternative. I believe g5 was interesting, but you know, generally against players like Ivan, those kind of cheap tricks don't really work. So we're gonna stick with the more positional approach here, and yeah, we're just gonna try to apply some pressure with g5. Try to claim that white is having a very tiny edge, but black is of course very solid. So we'll see. We'll see. The thing is, I'm gonna play g5 next, and black is struggling to push pawns here because queen c4 would be quite a small issue in case of b4. And a4, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, this is also not really threatening much, so I feel like we can just continue with g5. b4, same problem. And he goes c5. kind of connecting rook on the 6th rank. That was a pretty nice move. Now if I take, he just takes with the rook. If I go h5, I'm allowing him some pawn grab, which I should not. And my queen is now kind of pointless there, which I kind of dislike about this position. But I mean, let's just take. Okay, he takes this way. Taking with the rook, by the way, would have allowed rook takes. And he still has to do pawn takes because queen takes was hanging pawn on c5. So yeah, now we can probably switch on to the g file, but he's trying to say that it's not really that we don't really get that big of an attack on that side, but I think we should try to prove the opposite with this move. I think now we really need to play some kind of counter-attacking game, which, you know, it can get really double-edged. Yeah, he goes b4. Get some counterplay on that side. The thing is, though, I still should not be worried because b8 looks sort of safe still. So maybe I can get queen h6 in. I think queen h6, queen e7 might be only move. And then I could consider just a double. Yeah, I think just doubling b3. Can we just double then? I think we can still, yeah, just double. And rook g7 ideas. Let's see. Yeah, queen e7, and I believe rook g2 is really strong because then we can just double. I mean, if he plays any like rook b8 or whatever, then we go rook g7 and that kind of wins. I can also start with taking though, then go rook g2. But I feel like we should just play this. Just ignore it with rook dg1. The thing is though that my rook can also be pretty useful into the defense. So I'm not planning to recapture here, like that's the point. If I recapture, then he gets a free hand on the king side. But I want to play rook to g1 and yeah, say that, you know, you have some issues with your king as well, buddy. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is so good. I just feel like this is the dynamic of the game and this is how I am supposed to be playing. So whether it's gonna work out or not, I guess we're about to see. But yeah, he plays rook g8, which is pretty good sign. In terms of the fact that we're not gonna get mated just yet. Maybe in the next couple of moves, but we're fine for now. And yeah, we can trade. Go rook g1, but then there's not really that much. Maybe rook g6 was an interesting move here. But the same rook g8 might have been fine for him. Rook g5 also pretty interesting. Saying that the rook hangs, but yeah, okay, whatever. You should not really consider this kind of things once you made your move, obviously, but yeah. I guess you do it when you're really trying to lose. Okay, so I can take there, but do I really want to take there? I mean, that feels really suspicious. I think we're just gonna get like rook g1 in, and I feel like maybe a move such as queen e3 should be reasonable here. Queen h5 as well might be reasonable. The thing is, we don't get any attack, and he still has this kind of annoying pawns, right? It's sort of annoying. It's kind of freaking me out. So yeah, he might also be considering this c4 idea at some point. Yeah, again, I'm not a huge fan of taking there. Not at all. Not at all huge fan of taking there. I should do something to like meet this idea, I feel like. Maybe just playing 23. I'm just gonna do this with the idea that takes c4, I'll take and I'll have my pawn defended. We also keep some ideas of doubling on the g file. So I think this should be pretty reasonable. Just some small prophylactical ideas. I think he should take, go like rook b6, but yeah, we'll see. Starts with rook b6. Okay, this gives me an idea to take. Then he plays rook takes. But then I was wondering if I can just sidestep it, yeah. I think rook b6 was not the best. Now I can just like sidestep with king. King a2 would be kind of down, but this I felt it's okay, because queen b7 there is queen g3, that's really problematic. Or at least I thought it's really problematic. So c4 we get the same thing, right? Could even take it. Yeah, he goes back, but I think he kind of made it easier for me. Probably just follow it up with h5. Although he has this threat of queen b7 now. So we need to watch out for that. So if I'm going h5, then he gets queen b7, queen c5, queen b2, king d2, and can he go like a3? I think I have like queen e7, and then yeah, he has probably nothing better than going for the queen trade with queen b4. I take, and then I can get like probably king c3 to start with, and then I'll probably win his pawn. I don't know though, but I feel like again it's his principle. I need to make some play on my own. Queen g3 was also maybe a move in this position instead of h5. Probably a bit safer, but I feel like h5 is a little bit more aggressive. Introducing ideas of getting the rook to the 7th rank. Yeah, he plays queen b7, but yeah, we're gonna go for the line that I was expecting, and yeah, a3, as I said, queen e7 is the thing, and then queen b4, take, go for that endgame. I feel that we will trade queens. Yeah, queen b6. I will lose this pawn for this pawn. Something like that about to happen. Yeah, I have no... Yeah, if I had h6 on the board already, rook b1 would have maybe been a move, but not even in that case, because he just takes. But queen c5, rook b8 would have been checkmate, but yeah, that's another story. So that is a completely different story. And if I can like get my king to block his pawn, that would be tremendous, but he's not really gonna allow it, is he? Also, if I start with king c3, maybe this check. So I think c4 makes some sense to try to hide use this pawn by like a shield. I think c4 should be the move. Yeah, he plays this and is thinking maybe king c3 now. I can start with rook a1. He will give a check and then what? I think king c3 is good. Yeah, I have to play this. I can go king b4, b5. Can also play like h6, but then his king is... I feel like it's quicker, but... Okay, king b3, maybe he gives a check and it's just a draw by perpetual. But okay, let's calculate this. We trade, king h6, c5. Looks winning for me. Does king b4 make any sense though? King g7 and then just go king b5. It's probably not ideal. Yeah, let's just collect the pawn. I'm wondering if he's gonna give a check. He probably plays like this. We take and he just keeps rooks on. But my c-pawn is still pretty fast in that scenario, I feel like. So probably white is pushing in this endgame, but really tough to evaluate. Really tough to actually figure out the potential outcome. But you know, I have a feeling that the c-pawn is gonna be pretty fast. Okay, he finds this move. This might make the draw. I can play rook a2, rook d3, king b4 still. But then rook d4 and it looks really solid for him. And rook d4, though maybe h6. King g8. Not sure if it's really worth it. I'm gonna repeat once to gain some time on the clock. Yeah, I'm gonna play like... Does it make sense to go c5 in? I believe it doesn't make that much sense. Okay, so here, do I go rook a2, rook d3? That's the question. Then I can go king b4, rook d4. Maybe rook e2. King g7, king b5. Okay, I think we need to play that. And if rook d4, I mean, even h6, as I said, is an idea, but probably we don't need it. I'll just try to play for the c-pawn. Starts with king g7. That's a smarter start than what I was considering. But okay, I mean, the pawn is running. He can go do this, but it's pretty slow, I feel like. I'll get rook c2, push the pawn. Maybe starting with rook c2 was a bit cleaner to have rook c4 as an answer, but I felt like this should be pretty slow. So yeah, if I somehow manage to force him to give up the rook for the pawn, I have a good feeling that might be a winning endgame, but again, not so trivial. At least I think I'm pretty safe anyways, even if he gets the pawns and starts making counterplay. I feel like it should still be pretty safe. I think he should play something like rook d8 here, honestly. And then I go like c6, he plays king h6. He goes f5. I'm wondering if I can do the same c6 though. Like I can take as well, but just c6 has a big threat of going c7. This is pretty forcing. Has to go back and... Then we'll see. Probably I'll just take. Yeah, I think we just take. King f6, but... Okay, how is this position? I feel like I should not allow counterplay, but how? Okay, I think maybe attacking the h7 pawn is the way to go. Or maybe just keep it really casual with rook f2. I think just defending this one should be winning. Because if he gets e3, we'll just win the pawn. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I'm playing c7 next. Okay, rookito. Rook f3 is a little bit pointless, right? So I'm just gonna do this. If rook 8, I'll play c7 and then take. So I feel like this should be winning. Like he's gonna get the h pawn, but this is usually pretty slow. Yeah, rook 8, but c7. Threatening to take. Oh, I'm not threatening to take. Wow. Anyways, I'm gonna play this. So. But yeah. Oh, if he takes, yeah, I'm gonna queen with check. Wow, this is huge. I miscalculated this, but wow, I might get lucky still. Yeah, like he takes, and I thought I'd do this, and then I thought I do this, but I missed this. But it's actually, see, it comes with check. Yeah, we just do this, and then with king it comes with check, and no, I thought king d6 should win. Yeah, this is just resignable now. He goes there, but we just check. Just keep the rook on the defense, and we collect his rook. Alright, good game. I think we're gonna do some analysis afterwards, so we actually did some commentary after finishing the games, but the problem was that while we called on Discord, I couldn't really get his audio into the video because my setup wasn't really prepared for this. So we did in fact some commentary, but it would be kind of odd to attach that part of the video where it looks like I'm talking alone. So yeah, I mean that would be kind of crazy. So yeah, for the next time, hopefully though, we will be able to get the analysis and the thoughts from both players after the game is finished. And yeah, make sure to let me know how do you feel about this training games, if you want to see more of this on the channel, and you know, maybe if you want to see more videos in the Vienna to come, make sure to let me know. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care.